Have you ever wondered how someone could track a vehicle without a GPS device? In this video, I will discuss the one major secret surveillance trick every private investigator has at their disposal and how they can use it to the best of their ability. Let's discuss the art of the tail, the follow, or what we often refer to as mobile surveillance. Mobile surveillance is the one area where most private investigators struggle. It is the major point where many PIs get burned. At face value, it seems pretty straightforward. Your subject gets in his car, he pulls out of the neighborhood, then you follow him to wherever he is going. How hard can that really be? But one thing most PIs do not realize is that, well, most people that are being surveilled today know there is a high likelihood of them being surveilled. Regardless of why the subject is being surveilled, they most likely have talked to an attorney, and their attorney has already told them what to watch out for. Now, back in the old days, hardly anyone was ever suspicious. It used to be really easy to do surveillance, but nowadays it gets more complicated. Even if the subject isn't suspicious or aware of you, well, there are the neighbors that you have to be aware of. They may be on the lookout for surveillance themselves, or they may just be watching for suspicious people in the neighborhood. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. And this is where the art of the tail, the follow, starts, in the neighborhood. You, the surveillance investigator, start off with several huge disadvantages. First off, your car is the one car in the neighborhood that no one recognizes. This is why it is so important to make sure that you have a vehicle that fits in and doesn't stand out. If someone sees a silver or a white or other neutral colored soccer mom style vehicle, like a crossover SUV or a minivan, chances are they will just assume one of their neighbors has a friend visiting. But if they see a shiny jet black two-door sports car with red pinstripes running down the sides and dark tinted windows, well, that is going to stand out like a sore thumb. And here is a little secret that surprises a lot of people. My very first surveillance car was just that. I had a jet black two-door Pontiac Grand Prix with the red racing stripes down the side, and yes, I had the windows tinted one shade darker than the legal limit. And you know what? It stuck out like a sore thumb. But I love that car. It was exactly what I thought a surveillance vehicle was supposed to look like. I had seen all of the movies, the TV shows, and I knew in order to be successful, I had to have that perfect surveillance vehicle. It didn't take me long to realize, though, that it did stick out, and I had to make some fairly quick adjustments if I planned on making it as a private investigator. These adjustments included parking down the street a block or two so my subject never saw my vehicle. And this worked to a point. The subject may not take notice of my vehicle when he walks out because I'm parked so far away, but the neighbors around me often did take notice. I also had to do my follows from a greater distance to ensure my subject didn't see me and my shiny black car all of the time in his rearview mirror, and this led to a lot of complications that we need to discuss. The biggest problem with following at a distance is getting caught at traffic lights. You see, one of the main things you need to do to ensure a successful follow is to be close enough to, well, follow your subject. But if you are a block or more behind them, well, when that light turns yellow for them, it will surely be red for you. I know you're probably asking yourself, how do you stay close during the follow without getting burned? The big secret to this, besides making sure your surveillance vehicle doesn't stand out, is to make sure you just act naturally during the follow. Act like you're going to work or to the store. Do the things you naturally do when you're in your car, when you are not on surveillance. Look around a little bit, but not too much. Fiddle with your car radio, but not too much. Sing to a song, but don't make it obvious. And a big secret is to not stare in their mirrors. It is really easy to want to look in their side mirror to see if they are watching you. Two problems with this. The first being, if they glance in their mirror and you're staring at the mirror, well, now you will become suspicious. Was he watching me? Was he trying to see my face? Did he look suspicious? Then the paranoia sets in, and this will wreck the rest of your surveillance, to be sure. The more problematic problem, though, is if they glance at the mirror, which is perfectly normal to do, and they see you staring at their mirror 2 or 3 times. Well, they will then become suspicious. Is that just some weirdo behind me? Is he watching me, following me, stalking me? And once the paranoia sets in for the subject, well, that too will pretty much wreck the surveillance, because they now know what your car and you look like, and they will be watching for you all the time. Another big secret to a successful follow is to keep one car between you and your subject. This gives you a barrier, which can be very helpful, but it can create problems too. If you keep a car between you and your subject, you need to know that the blocker car will be going the same speed as the subject. This is best in rush hour traffic or steady traffic flows, where everyone is going the same speed. If the block car is going slower than the subject, it is easy for you to lose visual contact with your subject, and easier for you to get stuck at a red light when your subject goes through a yellow or a green. Another trick I will often use is to follow them from another lane. You can pretty much hide in their blind spot a lot of times. Now, this is good as long as they don't want to change lanes and see that you are always sitting there in their blind spot. And this works good as long as they don't want to exit or turn soon. You need to stay aware of major intersections that are coming up. If I am following in the lane to the left of my subject, then as we approach a major intersection, I will drop back a little bit, allowing me ample time to change lanes to turn or exit if needed. Now, this also means you must always be ultra aware of your surroundings at all times. Not only do you need to keep eyes on the subject vehicle, but you need to know what vehicles are around you and what they are doing all of the time. Now, what if my subject is on the far left, the fast lane? What do I do then? If possible, I will follow in the lane to their right, but you have to remember, this lane will often be going slower, so people may start passing you on the left, and then suddenly you have lost visual contact with your target vehicle. If I am able to follow in the lane to the right, I will also often follow a few car lengths back to allow them the ability to merge right when they need to. This is especially important if they are on a freeway or an interstate. They have to exit at some point, right? Now, if we are out on the open road, on a road trip, if you will, then I will follow them in the fast lane, but a few car lengths back. I will also often use a blocker car or truck too, and just keep an eye out on the right lane in case they merge right to exit. Now, the biggest secret about being successful is that it takes a lot of practice, and there is a lot of on-the-job training and learning that will occur too. You cannot possibly think of every possible scenario and be prepared for them all. You just have to do what you can do the best way you can do it, given what is happening at the moment. Another trick I often will employ, though, is called following the shadow. I will often use a blocker car or two, especially in heavy traffic, and I hug the left or the right side of my lane so I can keep eyes on the shadow of my subject's vehicle. Now, this is a bit tricky, and it isn't something you can do on all follows, to be sure, but when it works, it can be very, very successful. I have also implemented following from the front on many occasions. Now, this works best in two mobile surveillance scenarios. First, if you know where your subject is most likely going, then following from the front is fairly easy, as long as you don't drive slow that the target decides to pass you, and as long as they're going the same route that you're going. The second scenario, if I am on a multi-operative surveillance, if I have another surveillance investigator working with me, I might follow from the front for several reasons. First, if I've been following for a while and I need to get out of my subject's rearview mirror, I may pass them and then follow a few car lengths in front of them. If we are in what we call a long follow, then we may play leapfrog. This is where, after I'm in the front for a while, I slow down, let the other private investigator pass the subject, then pass me, then I slow down a little more, or I exit and let the subject pass me as well. Leapfrogging is a common and a very old, tried and true method of following with two or more investigators. But if it is done incorrectly or too often, the subject will take notice, so you need to be aware of that too. Now, you need to also make sure you can identify your subject's vehicle easily. This starts way back when you get on scene and set up stationary surveillance. Make note of any vehicle-specific identifiers like bumper stickers, damage to the vehicle like scratches or dents, and the tail light configuration. You need to identify anything and everything you can use to identify that vehicle in the event you lose visual contact. And I can guarantee you that you will, from time to time, lose visual contact. If your subject gets too far ahead of you and you need to play catch up, well, you need to be able to identify that vehicle at a distance, and you can't always see the license plate. If you just plain lose your subject and you need to do an area canvass, you need to know what you are looking for. I have also had many cases where my subject suddenly pulls into a grocery store or another large shopping area. I then drive past the turn for the parking lot entrance, ensuring that they don't see me following them in. Then I need to get turned around and find their car in that large parking lot in quick order, so having those identifiers in mind makes it a lot easier. I do often get asked why surveillance is better than just using a GPS tracker, and this is a valid question. In many states, PIs are allowed to use GPS trackers under specific and special circumstances. But even if you are using a GPS tracker, you still need to be doing surveillance of some kind. The GPS tracker only really gives you the location of the vehicle, or better put, the location of the GPS tracker. Without having eyes on the subject during the surveillance, you can't prove the subject went where the GPS tracker went. And a GPS tracker can't be cross-examined in a court of law, so you need to have someone who can testify to the findings of the case. But the biggest question is what happens if the subject becomes suspicious? If it is just you during surveillance, you can easily just pull off, save it for another day, use a different surveillance vehicle, or maybe use a different investigator for future surveillance endeavors. But if you have a GPS tracker on their car, you can still pull off. But somewhere along the line, you need to recover the GPS tracker. And from my experience, many people who become suspicious about being followed will look for or even hire a professional TSCM company to look for tracking devices. And when they find it, well, it is easier to track that GPS tracker back to you than you think. And if they contact the police and if they are in fear of their life, well, I can guarantee you the police will be investigating you regarding possible harassment and stalking. And regardless of whether it's defensible or not, once the allegations have been made, once the charges have been filed, once you have been arrested, the damage is done. My simple answer to clients who ask me if I can track someone is yes, we can. Then I go over in detail how we can use 2 or 3 surveillance investigators to conduct surveillance, and I cover the legal ramifications of using a GPS tracker. Because of those allegations, charges, and arrests, they oftentimes include both the investigator and the client.